Off the shelf, Alma, Balaclava, Inkerman, Bloody Steppes of Crimea, 1854. A wargame published by Strategmata, Polish wargaming company. I have a copy in English, translation of the rules. And I'm going to be taking a quick look at Balaclava. So just to help myself get going, I did look at the three separate. By the way, while this comes with 3 scenarios, while you might say this comes with 3 scenarios, this is more like a 3-pack game, a 3-pack of games. I would say that the scenario specific rules are so extensive for certainly 2 of the 3, but really all 3 of them have such extensive scenario specific rules that they're really their own games. So yeah, more so than maybe other games with multiple scenarios, this is really 3 games, Alma, Balaclava, and Inkerman. But to help myself get started, I did kind of look over the 3 scenarios. I was looking for the lightest in terms of scenario-specific rules. That appeared to be Balaclava. Then when I looked at Balaclava, there didn't seem to be a logical entry point for kind of making my own introductory scenario. So instead, I'm taking the Balaclava map. This is a fairly open portion of the battlefield. All this open ground between, so you have the low ground here, and it rises up. Got a couple of forts here. And so I grabbed the British 1st Division. I grabbed the Russian 16th Division. And from here, I mean, they're both from the orders of battle for Balaclava, but from here on out, I'm just going to practice the rules using these 2 forces. So that's what I've done. Not really Balaclava in any sense, but I did look over the three battles, and I did pull these 2 formations from the Balaclava orders of battle. Other than that, let's see where we can get started. So, okay, yeah, I will. Certainly not going to be doing a lot of rules reading because the English translation is has so many peculiar spots to it, so forget that. I'm also going to skip a lot of the stuff basically like the game is played in turns. Yes. Yes, there's a turn marker on a turn track. I'm skipping all that. So let's get into the first turn. Let's get into the turn. It does start with a command phase. This looks like a mutual phase. So players, so I guess I'll say both players, are going to secretly give orders to their division and independent brigade commanders, and move their commanders-in-chief and corps wing commanders. They may also initiate reorganization of routed units, so we won't worry about that right now. But we will. I will talk about this and. Oh wait, I guess I better get the orders of battle displays. Okay, so I had already put these away for now, but I got them back out. So I'm going to talk about this, but I am going to do it in a future video, assuming that I continue playing. I'm just not going to do it right now because I don't have. I'm going to probably put these in document protectors and use. Well, actually, I'm going to photocopy them first and leave these originals completely. I won't play with these originals at all. So I'll photocopy them, then I'll put the photocopies in document protectors and use markers on them. But let's talk about command phase because it's going to be easy, but I'll still talk about it. So for example, here's my. Oh, look at that. Is that a mistake? That's funny. This might just be a mistake. Here's the 16th Division. I think 16th Division is supposed to have a hex Yeah, I think it's supposed to have a hex diagram here. So, well, so I'll use this one for the 16th Division. So, on the map, let me see if it's handy. No, it's not. No, it's not handy. It looks like it's on the other side of the map. But, so for example, on the map there is a key showing the hex with the sides numbered. I'm just going to assume that 6 and 1 are towards the top of the hexes, but as long as it's uniform, right? So corresponding to the hex that way. So the 16th division is here with all of its subordinate units for strength recording, and that's the 16th division here. And so then I am going to, with this hex, which should be over here, I'm going to indicate a hex side 3 and 4, call them vectors, defines the attack for the 16th division, which in this case is very, very simple. All I'm saying is that the 16th division is attacking, in that direction. Which, again, it's simple, but this is how the rules do it, and I will actually play this through. Then, so for each battle, so this is for the Battle of Balaclava specific, obviously, because you have unit by unit rosters with strengths. Russian side on one side, and then on the other side you have the initial setup and reinforcements. So both a kind of an order of battle and an order of appearance. And then you have the same thing for the British side and on the back. So we're playing with the 1st Infantry Division here, which is there. And again, I think that we would mark on here that the defense for the 1st Division is oriented towards the 6 and 1 hex sides, which again just means that way. So easy in our case, but I did at least want to talk through that at first. So that's the command phase. Actually, I guess I'll take a look at my leaders, because I should look at the Russian brigade leader. Well, anyways, I'll look at the Russian leaders and the British leaders more closely. I changed my mind. I'm not going to go through the detailed game description with this one, actually. However, I do have to talk about this. So there are 2 leaders on each side. Well, no, I don't even have to talk about that. But I do want to talk about this leader, because it looks like this might be a mistake. Might be. So right there, I'm thinking this should be, 16th. I think this should be the 16th division leader, in which case he should have 2 stars here. But he's no. You know what? Take that back, because actually leaders in this game have different types of values. So actually, if this were the division leader, he would have a triangle on top of, on top of the one in the red circle, there should be a triangle for an independence factor. There's not an independence factor, and it's showing 1 star as a brigade commander. Let me see if there isn't a division version of this chit. Okay, so a quick check didn't reveal a division version of this. So I think the easiest thing for me to do is, even though the order of battle shows it as 16th Division, I'm going to treat this as a brigade commander commanding a brigade for rules purposes. All right. And then on the British side, I get what matters is the division commander. So here's Prince George, division commander. He's got the 2 stars on the side. Designation 1st Division. 2 is the morale modifier. And there's that triangle that I mentioned before. This is one graphical clear-cut problem I've found so far, but really the first one. Yeah, clearly they should have gone with white text. That's actually a number there, and that number is 6. So there's a tiny, tiny number there. It is 6. Yeah, clearly that should have been white text on white text on the dark blue triangle there. And then over here, like I showed on the Russian side, here's a brigade commander with just a morale modifier there. All right, so activation phase. Yeah, I think we'll go to activation phase. So after that, the mutual command phase, we have an activation phase. Players activate divisions or independent brigades, moving their forces, conducting infantry and artillery fire. So basically, on our sides, and again, I'm not going to go through details. We have infantry. I guess what's important, what is important for what I've done here, is that I'll zoom in. So the British defense here, we have a couple of artillery units. I put them in the forts, both of them. Well, no, there isn't really anything significant about the setup other than I started with 2 artillery units. I put them in the forts. Otherwise, we have the infantry here. What's important about the infantry is, let me move the leaders. What's important is I started with the flank units, this unit and this unit. All right, it's off the screen, but just off the screen this way is another one of these units in column. These infantry are in line. How that's shown is the actual side of the counter. So here's the British unit. It's in line. It has the line formation there, which I think is great, the graphical representation. You flip it over and it's the same unit in column. So there. So that's how I know they're all in line. These ones are in column. This one in its second unit over here. Okay. And on the Russian side. So again, what's important? So back here, actually all the infantry back here are on their column side, so they're in column formation. You have cavalry. So on the British side, we have infantry and artillery. On the Russian side, we have infantry and cavalry, but no artillery. So I can get all 3 arms in here. So you've got cavalry and cavalry. They are both in this, so they are in that, those dots there, which I guess, I'm not going to look it up, but I guess it's kind of a skirmish formation. You flip it over, it's the same unit, and right there. And I believe the only difference on the back side is this is the same unit. The D there is disrupted right there, which actually, you know, is not one of the more obvious ways of indicating that. And the same with, should be the same with these guys. So you got an infantry unit there in skirmish formation, flip it, yep, it's the same unit, disrupted. Same unit, exact same unit, disrupted. So there, so we have, so the 3 formations we're going to be looking at here: skirmish, line, and column. Third phase, there is a reorganization phase where you're going to rally routed units, and that's it. So the 3 command, activation, and reorganization phases. There's quite a bit going on in the command phase, but we're not going to look at that now. I think we're going to go right to activation. So this game uses, so the activation phase is a common phase for both players. It'll be divided into a number of division and independent brigade activations. The number of activations is the total of divisions or independent brigades for both sides in that turn. So this game uses AMs, or activation markers. each player has their own cup or box that allows him to secretly draw these action markers. The number and kinds of action markers entitled for the player is determined by the scenario, so I'll take a look at that, but I think we're just going to have one for each side, so does it matter? Probably not. As a matter of fact, probably not. Initiative. Which player has initiative in the beginning of a given turn? Okay, there is a die roll. Okay, so I do need to determine the number of action markers because that's a die roll modifier. There might be a scenario modifier to the initiative die roll. Oh, and then the player with the high result will choose, not draw from his action marker cup. So that means that when I determine who has the initiative, they're going to go first, and then the other side's going to go. And I think that's going to be it for us because I do think we're going to have one formation on each side, but let me verify. All right, I'm taking a lot of liberties here. What I'm going to do with the Russian formation here, so I'm going to treat it as an independent organization, an independent formation. And so when I go, and I'm also going to start with the Russians are just going to move first, but subsequently, this guy, Zabokritsky, he's going to have to roll against his independence number, which is actually a 4 there. All right. And then just to show, there is a first division action marker here for the, boy, that didn't work at all, did it? Right there for the British. I'll keep that handy. Let's see. So the Russians are going to go first. So let's start with the Russian activation here.